Welcome to Filling You In, a dental podcast with A Squared, where dentist entrepreneurs and spouses, Dr. Anushka Gaglani and Dr. Abhishek Nagaraj, welcome industry experts and innovators to explore trends in business practices, patient care, career development, and what it takes to be successful in dentistry.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our very first episode of Filling You In. I'm Dr. Abhishek Nagaraj.
And I'm Dr. Anushka Gaglani, collectively known as A Squared.
And we're the co-founders and co-CEOs of Aereo Dental Group.
We wanted to do this podcast to share our own experiences as dentist entrepreneurs and learn, along with our audience, about industry trends and best practices from leading innovators and experts who are shaping the future of dental care.
Our first guest is the perfect fit for this purpose. Austin Moffat is a partner and CFO advisor at DSO CFO, a 12-year-old company that has helped hundreds of dental practices meet their financial goals.
Austin brings extensive experience in financial consulting to his work, with expertise that includes financial analysis, forecasting and budgeting, and trend analysis. Thank you so much for joining us today, Austin.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm honored. You guys are awesome. I'm very excited to hop on this with you guys today.
Likewise, we're excited to have you.
Austin, we'd like to dive in and learn more about your background and what first got you interested in working in the dental field.
Oh man, I'll try and keep it short and sweet. It's a little tough to sometimes, but so my grandfather, he in the 80s, he was an orthodontist. He owned a handful of locations, like about 3 locations in the Los Angeles area in the 80s. So kind of before like multi-location was a thing. And he's pretty entrepreneurial minded. He's very successful. Did very well. He made lots of money. Made lots of mistakes. To put it nicely. I'll just say this: he loved taking my dad, my aunts and uncles. Yeah, at the time they're younger. To Balboa Island, Newport Beach. He loved taking them there, right? Buying sailboats, right? Kind of doing what you do when you have a lot of money, right? He ultimately fell into bankruptcy in the late 80s or early 90s. Kind of did his bankruptcy stint, and then he did it all over again. He bought multi-locations through Los Angeles down to Riverside, California. Very successful in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s, and then lo and behold, fell into bankruptcy once more with additional poor decision making on his financials. So that's kind of what got me, well, not necessarily me, but my family, if you will, into the dental space. That there's a lot of money that these doctors make, but not necessarily making the best decisions with said money. Right, that ultimately we saw it firsthand, right? Impact my grandmother, who had to go back to work in her late 60s to teach flute lessons, right, to high schoolers in Los Angeles, right, which is not ideal, right? And so that's what ultimately kind of led. So my father became a financial advisor. My brother Jonathan, who is the owner of Aligned Advisors, who only work with dentists, right, got him into working with doctors from a wealth manager perspective. And then I kind of came in on the opposite side and kind of helps, focus, but I focus on the business finances, if you will. Right. So that's what ultimately kind of got us involved. I know I said I keep it short and sweet, but that's probably the shortest I've ever told that story.
That's a powerful story. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. We read so many books, and it's the same story again and again. We hear all these, physicians, dentists, lawyers are always more prone to filing bankruptcy, which is so fascinating to me. Thanks for sharing that. Can you give our audience an overview of DSO CFO and what it does specifically?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. So DSO CFO, we're an accounting firm that offers fractional CFO services. We also do taxes. So pretty much like all things corporate finance, if you will, on the dental side, right, is what we do. And we feel like there's a lot of value and power in that, in niching ourselves only to the dental space. right? It's such a niche industry. And we see that, we value that, and we help our clients understand really what they need to do, how things need to look in order to be financially successful, right? So we know, right, where you should be spending your money on clinical related expenses, right, and payroll, marketing, right? We know that you generally should be, roughly speaking, and every practicing group is a little bit different, but you should be walking away every month with at least a 15 to 20% profit margin every month. I mean, tell me where you're going to have a better investment anywhere on a 15 to 20% profit margin, right? I'll be honest, I don't know many, right?
Yeah.
Better returns, right? And so, we know those areas, and so we're more than just like an accountant and a bookkeeper, right? We're your financial partner, right? We want you to be successful, right? And whatever that means, right? That could be growing, that could be acquiring practice, that could be wanting to work less in the chair, right? And maybe have a better lifestyle with your family, whatever that looks like, right? We help our clients get there. And so I would say that's DSO CFO in a nutshell.
No, right on. What do you think is the key value driver that DSO CFO brings to dental practices? Just segueing off of what you said, I know there's so many great things that you guys are able to do. What do you think is the key value driver?
Ah, man, key value. That's a great question. I think it is it's the information that we bring working with hundreds of doctors and their practices, and then coming back and sharing with our clients what we're seeing, works for some groups, what doesn't work for other groups, what really doesn't work for other groups, right? I think that's the best value and the highest value that our clients really get from us. I'll just say that I personally see about, it's a little over 200 dental practice financials right now. Like I personally see over 200 financial statements a month, right? In just dental practices across the country, right? And so I'd like to think, right, that we have a pretty good pulse on what's going on in the dental industry across the country on a month-over-month basis. I think a lot of our clients get a lot of value from us sharing with them what we're seeing, right, from that perspective, right? What vendors are they using, right, that's working for them, right? What vendors are using that maybe aren't working for them? What are we seeing that doctors or other practices are doing that is, a little unique, but it is increasing their profit margin by 1 or 2%, right? And so we take that information because we see it firsthand. We review that with our clients so we understand what he's doing, and then we convey that and share that with others.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and we can vouch for that. I know we use DSO CFO, and it's great to kind of get that knowledge at our fingertips on a monthly basis.
Well, I'll be super honest, Dr. G. We actually get that a lot from you. We actually are getting information from you guys. Not with others. You guys are the standard. If I'm being totally honest.
That's really kind of you. We appreciate that.
Yeah. It's funny.
That is no smoke, by the way. That is legit.
Thank you. It's funny. We asked you what the key value driver is. I know, Anushka, you would agree with this, that the key value driver for us when we see our financials is the first thing is dental business owners of multi-practice group is we go into the net income level and see the profitability, right? And we work our way backwards. So, and you guys do a great job of actually breaking it down in a really nice, clean manner. Dr. G, please.
Yeah. No, thank you for that, Austin. So, you mentioned that you see all these practices and you kind of see the trends. Since you have a national perspective on the industry, what are some of the key trends that you're seeing these days?
Oh man, great question. It's almost seasonal, right?
Yeah.
It's January. We just got out of the holidays, right? September, we jokingly call September, right? October, which is like total opposite to September.
Yeah.
Typically And then we hit into November, December, the holiday months, right? Which naturally, right, you're having less working days, right? You're having employees that want to go on vacation. You have patients that want to go on vacation who aren't around to do any work on, right? You're having Christmas parties, our holiday parties, if you will, right? That, that you should have. So you're spending a little bit more on expenses, right? In that regard, it's so seasonal, right? And that's so fresh in my mind right now, because I'll be super honest, the trend right now in January is a tight cash flow, right? And again, that's just January, right? It's tight cash flow because you're coming on back-to-back months where production was low and expenses were higher than typical, right? And so you're having a lot of doctors and practice owners right now, and management teams, right, are feeling the pressure. They're feeling the pressure right now, and it's tough. This happened, I remember last year. Well, it's not really happened every year, but I'm just going back to last year, right? It wasn't until about the third week of January that we kind of saw practices start to kind of catch their breath, right? And things start to kind of come in because production was coming back in the full swing, right? Revenue, right, started coming back in. And so that's a current trend right now, just kind of more like immediate. On a profit and loss statement, if you will, yes, cash flow is number one. So that is a pain, right? And I can promise that the to kind of deal with that, right? And it's tough is, during those awesome months, right? If you can skirt away any cash into a money market account, right, that, has a higher than normal, return, right, if you will, then, that's good. I'm not saying that's the end all be all, that is the solution, but if you can pack some of that money away for rainy days or rainy periods, right, then it's just so important to do so, right? But in terms of like a profit and loss and things like that, I just think the biggest thing right now is just making sure that practices are keeping their clinical related expenses and their payroll at a spot that is manageable and that is not too crazy, right? So we track benchmarks, and forgive me if I'm going down the rabbit hole too much. Is we roughly, generally speaking, from a general practice perspective, we know that you should be spending no more than about 6% of your revenue on dental supplies. Generally speaking, again, this varies per location and per group. 5% of your revenue on labs, and typically not more than 50% on payroll, right? That's 61% of your revenue in just those categories, clinical expenses and payroll. That's huge.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you're over in any of those areas, you're doing yourself as a practice owner a disservice, right? In just those two areas alone. So going back to trends is, we're seeing people kind of flirt with a little bit higher than maybe 11% on clinical expenses, right? Maybe a little bit more than 50% on payroll, right? And so we are seeing that, but there are ways to look at it, to approach it in a more strategic way, so that you feel like you're playing within the range that you should be. That makes sense.
Thank you for that answer. I think because you have so many data points, and you said you have 200 practices that you're seeing a lot of P&Ls every single month, what are some of the typical things that you see dental practices doing right, and what are some common mistakes when it comes to financial strategy?
Oh, good question. It honestly, it varies, to be honest with you. I don't know if there's one thing that I'm seeing that's being done right, or one thing that's being seen that's being done incorrect, right? It honestly, it goes group by group, sometimes within a group, practice by practice. I will say, of the clients that we work with, one thing that I'm seeing that is being done correctly is they're meeting with us at least once a month to go over their financials, so that they understand the pulse of their business, right? That for me is the first, well, maybe the second step. Maybe the first step is actually, having someone work on your financials, and you're getting regular financial
Clean financials.
right? Totally, right? And look, it doesn't have to be DSO CFO. Honestly, just get someone. It could be It could be your aunt. It could be whomever. You know what I mean? But as long as you're getting timely financials and they're correct, and that you understand them, right? Those are the things, right? And I would just encourage anyone. It doesn't matter who you're getting them from, that you're at least getting them. That's number one, right? Number two is that you're actually sitting down and reviewing. And then, so again, back to your initial question, Dr. Raj, is what I'm seeing, right, is they're meeting with us and they're having that discussion, going over their financials, and they're understanding what's working, what's not working. And then we set goals, right, with those, so that we can track in future months, right? So that is kind of at the beginning battle, right? Understanding what's going on, and then setting goals.
So a regular cadence of meeting with your financial team and setting some realistic goals. Got it.
And tracking the goals.
And tracking.
Right? I would say that there's caveats, right? You can set goals all you want to, but if they're not being tracked and there's no accountability where maybe you fall short of, or there's no praise, right, where you hit or beat the goal, right, then it's almost pointless. You know what I mean? I could say, hey, we're going to do $120,000 a month in revenue, but if I'm hitting $83,000 a month, and that's, it's 83, we'll try again next month. Then what's the point of setting goals to begin with?
Right.
Right on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, those are great points. I think, first of all, if I can say, I am really glad we have DSO CFO doing our books and not my aunt or any of my aunts. I would probably say get a company that knows what they're doing.
and who's niched down and does
exactly.
only dental is even better. So that's great.
Austin, what would you say? What's your go-to advice for practice owners who are interested in substantial growth?
Oh man, substantial growth. It all kind of points back to what we've been talking about, if I'm being honest. It's understanding your business from a financial, and I'll just call it financial operational standpoint. Right? Because you can't have one without the other. Right? I'll just say this. I would say operations is number one, in my opinion. Financials, right, is a very, very close number two. Right. But we're reporting what happened from an operational standpoint. Right. And then the goals are based off of what's taking place from an operational standpoint.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think, again, just kind of going back to what we've been saying, is understanding your financials and having those goals, tracking those goals, and then having accountability from said goals. Right. Look, and then look, kind of going back again to like substantial growth. What does that mean, right? What does substantial growth mean to you? Does that mean increased revenue? Does that mean a decrease in expenses? Does that mean an increase of profit margins? Does that mean all of the above? Probably option C. But what does that look like, right? And what are the steps to get you there? So I would say number one is, again, forgive me for repeating myself, but it's going through your financials with your goals in one hand and your financials in the other, and going through with it together. Where are you on? Where are you off? Areas that you're off, why are you off? And then what do we need to do to tweak those? And then track it further, right? For growth, in my opinion.
Yeah. Super insightful. Austin, you've been super insightful. We would like to do a quick lightning round with you. We're going to shoot 3 questions at you. Just whatever comes at the top of your head, shoot away.
Please.
First question. What was your last impulse buy?
Oh, man. Oh, boy. Put me on the spot here. Last impulse buy. I have to really think about this. Honestly, I'm a sucker for good clothes. I really am. I like good clothes. We were at the local Shields in Utah, in Salt Lake City, and I always head over to their clothing store, or their clothes section. So I got myself a couple of buttoned up flannel shirts.
Nice. Great for the winter.
It's definitely a want and not a need. So that's my impulse.
Love it.
That's the best type of impulse buy.
That's right. Second question. What are the least likely 3 words someone would use to describe you?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh is okay.
In shape. In shape. And I say that I played college soccer, so I've got kind of like a, Austin in college soccer shape and Austin the accountant shape. I would say in shape. So there's two, and oh my gosh, man, I don't know. Goodness.
That's good. That's good enough.
We'll just call it in shape. That's a
In
good
shape.
line.
Okay. That's great. Last question, Austin. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Man, great questions. I'm a big Jack Johnson fan. So I listened to Jack Johnson all throughout my middle school, high school, college. I know every word to almost every one of his hit songs. So you pick Flake on from Jack Johnson, and I'll go to town. I'll go to town on Flake.
We're going to take you up on that one day.
Yeah, you should.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Austin, for being with us today. I'm Dr. Anushka Gaglani.
And I'm Dr. Abhishek Nagaraj. Thanks for checking out today's show, and we hope you can join us again next time.
Thanks for watching this episode of Filling You In, where we uncover the insights, trends, and stories shaping the dental industry. If you like this podcast, please share it on your social channels and visit Aereo Dental Group on LinkedIn or on Instagram @Aereo Dental Group. You can also subscribe to the series and check out all of our episodes on this YouTube channel or at aerodental.com/podcast. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and let's keep elevating the dental field together.